Hello, this is Roland. Today I want to continue reading from a book called Experiencing God Through Prayer by Madame Jeanne Guyon. And the book is edited by Donna C. Arthur. And I'm reading from chapter 4. This is a continuing series. Maybe I can read the whole book, or at least many excerpts from the book. Why do I read this book? Well, because in its simplicity, it directs you toward sitting still and finding your ground of being from which you can flow. See, there's a big difference between somebody telling you, hey, go and look at that thing over there, and it'll help you somehow. You go and look at it. Oh, okay, well, thank you. There's a difference between that and intuitively moving toward something, and then it turns out to be just what you needed. It's like inspiration. It comes from within. Now, we all have access to that, and we partake of it, but then we lose it. We doubt it. We discard it. We discount it. We can't even find it anymore. When you were a little child, you did one thing, and then you did another, and then you did something else, and you went from one thing to another, and you learned at lightning speed. You learned how to walk and talk and do everything within a couple of years. It's unbelievable. And you intuitively went to some flowers and played with them, or you got some pebbles, or you did something. It was just natural, and it was right. But you began to lose that. Some people don't lose it. They keep it. And then in the field of science, math, politics, education, medicine, they do a lot of good because they don't lose that. May I give you just a couple of quick examples? For example, and they intuitively, they they notice something. They notice some little thing that nobody else notices or pays attention to. They notice it, and somehow it leads to discoveries. So, one example of a person who didn't lose touch with his intuition is Albert Einstein. And that's how he made his discoveries. He noticed little things. He noticed a discrepancy of having to do with Maxwell's equations. He noticed it. And he wondered about it, and that led to discovery. He noticed he was sitting on the train, and he looked at the clock tower, and that led to another insight. You see what I mean? And another person who didn't lose his intuition was Dr. Hans Celie. He's the father of stress management. He's the first one to really study stress and to understand the stress reaction. And he noticed that regardless of what was assailing the body, be it a person or an animal, the symptoms, no matter what kind of illness it was or condition, the symptoms were always very similar. Runny nose, fever, that type of thing. He noticed that. And he wondered about that. Why are the symptoms the same for all of these different things? And then he figured out that there's a stress reaction. That is, the body takes these certain steps whenever it's stressed. So you get the idea. Now, the one who really was close to his intuition was Christ. he was so close to his intuition that not only, see, he flowed from it. He flowed from his intuition. And he remained so close to it that not only did his flow include being one place or being in another, he sensed when it was time to leave or where to go. Not only did his flow include the things that he said, but the flow went all the way to fulfillment or completion in that he could heal people. It was a continuous flow. See, I read something this morning that's very profound. A very brilliant and wise man said that matter is congealed energy. Matter is congealed energy. So when you look at the flower, you see that it's congealed energy from the sun. That's what it is. But the thing about matter is that it is part of a continuous flow. It's a reality is a continuous function. There are no breaks in it. So there are if you want to call them lines of force, if you want to call it the primal wind, if you want to call it the pre-time force, if you want to call whatever it is, this moving ethereal background, it's always moving at tremendous speeds. Each of those lines of force, for example, you've probably seen a picture where you have maybe, I wish I had a paper in front of me. I should probably get a paper. Let me see if I got a paper here. Yeah, there's a paper. And there's a pen. So I draw a line on it. I drew a line on the paper. I don't know if you can see it or not. There it is. There's a line on the paper. All right, then watch what I'm going to do now. Now it's going to go around and around and around and around and around. And then I'm going to draw it. I'll show you what I did. See how I did that? I'm going to draw another one over here. And it's going to go around and around and around and around. And another one over here, around and around and around and around. Cool, huh? Do you see how the line is continuous from beginning to the end? It's continuous. There's no break in it. And maybe each of these, maybe what you're looking at right here, the thing that you're seeing right here, maybe it itself is a branch from another, from another, from another. You know, Christ often spoke of the vine and the branches. And so it's like a vine with many branches coming out, leaves and then fruit. So it's like fractal. But you could imagine there was one of these in the very beginning, and then all these other ones went off and off and off and off. Fractal. But it's continuous. You can follow, you could start at the end, and you will see that if you started right here and you went into diverse direction, it would take you all the way back, and you would keep going all the way to the beginning. They're connected, the beginning and end. The Alpha and Omega are connected. So now, when Christ did something, he was connected to this, to this energy. Now, the energy I'm talking about here, when I'm talking about the sun and matter and atoms and Higgs bosons and photons, matter, and of course big matter, the earth, the stars, rocks, trees. Matter is composed of the energy of this pre-time force, this pre-time field of moving vectors with curvature, with precession, moving at probably billions of times the speed of light, from every direction, round and round, like yarn woven around a ball, and it gets bigger and bigger and bigger, big from every direction. Anyway, that's what it is. So that's that energy, but then there's other energy from the Creator. But Christ, when he touched someone, he touched them with the energy from the very beginning, a continuous flow from the Creator. Do you understand? So, I forgot how I got onto this. I wanted to read from Madame Guyon. Oh yes, I remember now. I talked about Albert Einstein, and I talked about Dr. Hans Celie, and there are many others. There's so many, but also in the field of politics, and in every field, people are connected to their intuition. And so if you want to be connected to your ground of being, then you have to start to find it. And you were close to it when you were a child, and you had a little bit of it, but you lost it. That's why you didn't become an Einstein or a Beethoven or a Madame Curie. You instead became something, not so bad maybe, but not what you could be. And probably you became totally distorted, because instead of flowing from within and responding to delicate inward pressures, you know how conscience is very delicate. Intuition is very delicate, isn't it? But instead you responded to crude, gross, violent, outside forces, pressure, peer pressure, study pressure, conformity pressure, drug pressure, all kinds of pressure, education pressure, achievement pressure, goal pressure. Seemed like they were never happy with what you were. They always wanted to change you. Yeah, because if you were who you were, if you had stayed with it, if you had never fallen from it, then you would have become an Einstein or someone very noble, and that would shame them. They would see what they are. They would see the ogres that they are in comparison to the brightness in you. So you have to refine that. You have to refine that brightness. And a good way to start is learning to become still. And that's why I read from Madame Guyon. I'm reading from chapter 4, The Reward of Silence. You are now ready to know about another aspect of prayer, which I will simply call the prayer of faith and stillness. See, before, if you watch this series that I'm making, she talked about what was popular at the time and still is, so-called meditative prayer. It has nothing to do with my type of meditation. But what they mean is they used to like get a scripture verse or, read something in the Bible and then meditate on it. But usually it deteriorated into just thinking, trying to figure out, trying to understand, trying to memorize. But she said that's why I don't recommend it, because it'll get you stuck in your intellect. No, it must flow from intuition. So then she described how you could read a little something, and then when you see something, when something is highlighted, when you realize something, then close the book and go on with your daily activities, and you'll have something sort of in the back of your mind that will be with you, that will be something nice, and that which will lead to more insights, more realizations, more discoveries. But she said that, better yet, to just become still. Instead of trying to read something, trying to memorize, which is usually what it deteriorates into, just become still. So now she said, I will simply call the prayer of faith and stillness. See, if you fall into your mind, into the endless loop of your thinking, into your imagination, into worry, into reliving the past or planning for the future, do you see how there's endless movement, endless little pressures and divisions and little conflicts and endless little everythings, on and on and on. And also, there's no faith there. See, when you fall into your intellect, there's no faith there. It's just words, concepts, ideas, voices. You think it's your own, whispering different things. There's no faith there. There can't be. It's just matter. Can this pen have faith? No, it cannot. So how about your brain stuff? Can it have faith? It cannot. It can have what seems to be faith. You can drum up emotions. Oh, I believe. But real faith is a thing of the soul. It's metaphysical. And it's being still. Do you see how faith is being still? Instead of worrying, planning, scheming, rushing to do something, biting your nails, it's being still. She says, after you have been meditating in the Word, then now she's going back to this other method that she said she didn't recommend, and praying it out to God for some time, you will gradually find how easy it is to come into His presence. You will remember other scriptures with less difficulty. Prayer has now become easy, sweet, and delightful. You have now found, dear one, I'm reading Madame Guyon, the true way of finding God, and that His name is an ointment poured forth. And she's quoting from the Song of Solomon. His name is an ointment poured forth. Now I want you to pray a little differently. Now here we go. You must now begin to use your faith and courage without being disturbed at the difficulties you may encounter. First, as soon as you come into the presence of God, remain in respectful silence for a little while. Remain there in His divine presence without being troubled about a subject for prayer. Simply enjoy God. When you feel a release, you may proceed in prayer. If, however, there remains a tender tug at your spirit to simply stay quiet in His presence, by all means do so. Cease all activity, lest God's presence is diminished by your activity. Then I would recommend to all of you, when you have finished in prayer, remain a while longer in respectful silence. Seek nothing from God during these quiet moments except to love Him and please Him. A servant who places all diligence in his work only for the reward is unworthy of any recompense. Go then to your place of prayer, not only to enjoy spiritual delights, but simply to please the Father. It will keep your spirit in tranquility and consolation. See, she's talking about the benefits, the fruits of being still. Now, a lot of people don't know how to be still. You want to be still, just like she said, you want to, but you don't know how, because the minute you try to be still, then the thoughts loom up. This and that and this and that. That want to carry you away. So then people make the mistake of trying to blank thought by humming or chanting, or they try to control their thought by focusing on some image, maybe a scene in their mind of some beautiful lake or something. No. The way to do it is to sit quietly and close your eyes and become aware of the little glow of light on the inside of your eyelids and watch that glow. Now the thoughts are gone. And become aware of your hand until it tingles a little bit. And then just sit quietly doing that. Now, when thoughts come, and they will come, of something to eat, somewhere to go, something to buy, something to check out, something to text, something somebody said yesterday, who knows what it is? Just notice it. Notice it, and then impose the little patterns of light, the glow of light that you see on the inside of your eyelids over it. And the thought is gone. It flits away. And you're back in the present again. You're back in the presence, in the present. And then another thought will come. See, and so your whole life is an endless process of snapping out. But when you snap out of thought, when you're not lost down there in your thoughts, then you're close to your intuition. When you're close to your intuition, you're close to God. And then you can flow from that.